guys, and welcome back. So today I'm going to be going through some baby non-essentials. James is about 1.5 years now, so I feel like I've got this list down, nailed. Obviously this is all the stuff that we feel like we didn't need, wasn't necessary. If your opinions differ to that, then that's fine. If they work for you, brilliant. I hope they work for some people, but this is just what didn't work for me and my family. So first on the list is a wipe warmer. Didn't have one, never intended to get one. Don't really understand them. Like, wouldn't the warmth just kind of like dry them out? So I don't feel like you need a wipe warmer. James adapted very quickly to the fact the wipes were cold and they didn't bother him. So we didn't need a wipe warmer at all. So next is going to be very controversial for me to say, but you don't need a next to me cot / Moses basket. The reason I say this is because they're so expensive and they last for a maximum of like 6 months. James only lasted in his Moses basket for 2 months because of how long he was. So what I recommend you do instead is buy a travel cot and use that up in your room, because then you have a travel cot for when you're away or out, and if you take the baby downstairs, you can just set the travel cot up downstairs, have them nap downstairs because it's not easy getting up and downstairs after having a baby. So it's easier if you can just like go to one room, stay in that room for the day and then go to bed. So it's much easier to be able to just move a travel cot around instead of having a Moses basket. And this travel cot can be multifunctional, which I'm going to get to in a minute. You know, so travel cot over a next to me cot / Moses basket. One thing we had, but James absolutely hated, was a Jumperoo. And considering how much this kid loves to jump, it's very surprising that he didn't like a Jumperoo. I don't know why he didn't like a Jumperoo. He just didn't. And they're so expensive for what they are, and the fact they only last till they're 1, and you can't start using it until they're 6 months when they can hold their head up. It's a bit ridiculous of a price for it. So yeah, so bit too expensive, not worth the money. Next thing I don't think you need is a playpen. Use travel cot instead. Multifunctional travel cot. Use travel cot instead. Our living room isn't very big, and if we had got a playpen, it would have taken up half of our living room, and playpens can be very big and clunky and not easy to move. So you can't take it anywhere with you. Whereas travel cot, you can fold up and take with you. So my recommendation is get a travel cot over a playpen, because the travel cot is multifunctional. Okay, so the next thing is a bottle warmer. We had one. We didn't get any use out of it. It didn't warm the bottle up fast enough. It was just much easier just to put the bottle into a jug of hot water, and it warmed up much faster than the baby bottle warmer would have. The next thing on the list is a baby food maker. They are ridiculously priced considering they are essentially tiny blenders. Just use a normal blender or a food processor, something along those lines. It is not worth the money to get one of these tiny little baby food makers, because again, they're extortionate amounts for what they are. You could pick up a blender for about 30-40 quid. And like, I saw a Tommy Sippy one that was about 40 quid, but it was about 1/3 of the size of a normal blender. So I'd just rather have a blender, even though I broke mine. Next is the Tommy Tippy Perfect Prep Machine, or something along these lines. Because we had one, we used it for all of like 2 months. We didn't use it, so we passed it on because we weren't using it. So someone may as well have got use out of it. And you can replicate the Perfect Prep Machine with a kettle. You know, if you pre-boil some water and then keep it in the fridge, and then take your kettle, do a hot shot with your normal kettle, put the powder in, use a separate bottle to measure out the cold water, and then add it into the bottle of formula you're making. It does the same thing. So you can replicate it with the kettle, and it makes life so much easier. So, and again, the Perfect Prep Machine is kind of pricey for what it is. Next is an Isofix Base. Now, I personally do not like Isofix Bases. Infant carrying car seats, 9 times out of 10, can just be strapped to with a seat belt. And you can buy car seats that just get strapped. You can buy bigger car seats where you just put it in with the seat belt. You don't need an Isofix Base. They're expensive, they're clunky, and I don't like them. That's my personal opinion. I have my reasons for not liking them. But yeah, so Isofix Base, not necessary. Baby jeans. I've put here, just no. Don't put your baby in jeans. It's absolutely pointless. They don't have poppers. They're paying the bum to get on the baby and then get off the baby when you've got changed the nappy. And when they're so little and you're changing their nappy really regularly, then there is no point in baby jeans. I know, they look cute. I fell for it. They're adorable. But they are pointless. We put them in James twice. Put them on James twice. And never touched them again. Now he's a toddler, he's wearing jeans because they're more hard wearing than like leggings or tracksuit bottoms. But when he was little and couldn't move, there was no point to them at all. Scratch mitts. So 9 times out of 10, onesies have the scratch mitts built into the sleeve. So if you really don't want them scratching their face when they're asleep, then that's fine. And let's face it, for the first like 3 months of their life, they live in the onesies anyway. But actual scratch mitts, I didn't see the point. James was able to get his scratch mitts off really quickly, and he never really scratched himself. We always made sure to keep his nails short and trimmed and filed so they weren't sharp, and he never really scratched his face. So I don't think there's a point to them, to be honest. Okay, blackout blinds / curtains. The reason these are on here is because I didn't want to get James too used to sleeping in the pitch black because I knew it wasn't going to be reasonable for that. I wanted him to be able to sleep in a light, noisy environment. That was just because I was going to be taking him to work with me, and the client I have, she has 4 dogs and a very bright house. It was unreasonable for me to expect him to sleep in the pitch black and total quiet. So we made sure we got him used to noise. Unless you haven't figured, I'm very loud in general. So he kind of got used to that on his own anyway. And we didn't want to get him used to sleeping in the dark. He does have, I don't want to say blackout curtains because they don't black everything out, but he has pretty dark curtains in his bedroom. But like when the sun starts coming in the morning, it doesn't completely darken. His room's not totally dark. So I don't think blackout curtains and blackout blinds are necessary. Baby nest. Babies are going to spend most of their time sleeping on you. That's the long and short of it. If they're not asleep on you, they're asleep on dad. If they're not asleep on dad or you, they're in the cot. That's the long and short of it. You don't need a baby nest especially if you've got like a really fussy, colicky, windy baby, which James had a tongue tie, he had a lot of wind, he had acid reflux, bless him. So he didn't like being horizontal a lot. So easiest thing to do is just buy a carrier. That way they can be strapped to you. We had a woven wrap that we had for when he was really, really small. And then we had an Ergo baby carrier for when he was bigger. And he slept fine in both of those. It was absolutely brilliant. Can't fault either of them. I'd recommend doing that over a baby nest. Especially if you've got like a colicky or sicky baby like we did. He wasn't colicky, but he was being sick all the time because of the reflux. Breastfeeding pillow. So I did try to breastfeed, and I always found it easier just to have my hand under James when I was feeding, or to use regular cushions. This is probably mostly because I am plus size. So not a lot of breastfeeding pillows are built for plus size women. They are built for your average size woman. And I struggled. I also have, shall we say, larger than average breasts. And again, I wasn't able to get James into the right position for feeding. And with the added issue of he had a tongue tie, it just wasn't practical anymore. Callum ended up using it as a pillow. So Callum just slept on it. So I can't recommend a breastfeeding pillow, unfortunately. I know so many people find them helpful, but I personally I didn't get along with it because I'm plus size, and I had trouble getting James into a position that was comfortable for both him and me. It wasn't happening. So I can't recommend it unless you want to sleep on it. Callum said it was very comfy. But that's all the baby non-essentials I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!